Without further ado, I want to bring our first guest of the day onto the show, Ben from Story Trading. He spit some fire. He came on the show. He pitched. He's come on twice. The first time he pitched a stock, it ran something like 80% over the next week. It was like a crazy move. So let's bring Ben back on here, and he's got a couple things to tell us today. Ben, what is going on, man? How are you doing, sir?
What's up? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back, Hot Stocks Luke.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the Power Hour. How are things in your world?
Everything's great. We're real excited about a new announcement. We just had a press release this morning that we have a data partnership with Benzinga for
Boom! We get some air horns on that
one. Yeah, we're really excited about that. We revealed our app is coming out soon, just a few weeks ago, and it's a social collaboration and crowdsourced research app to uncover the hidden story behind the trade. And as part of that, we are integrating data sources in there to give people a jump start on the crowdsourced collaboration so they can go through the news feeds and see what's going on. You know, I spoke to Jason, this founder of Benzinga, Jason Raznick, some time ago when we talked about this data partnership. And Benzinga and I and Jason, we really see the world eye to eye, you know, in terms of how markets work. And we're both motivated by this vision to explain market price action. And Benzinga's been on the leading front of that, you know, with their, especially with their why it's moving alerts, right? That stuff is awesome. And, you know, I have the same philosophy. I think there's a reason behind all the price action. And if you gather enough data, you can explain it. So, you know, the why it's moving alerts are great. There's something I think that is under-followed and underappreciated at Benzinga. And we're going to be integrating that very tightly into our app to help people understand why markets are moving.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, so we have the general thesis that retail participation will increase. There are systemic changes that have happened over the past several years that have kicked that change off. Everybody with the smartphone is connected to markets 24/7, can get information 24/7. We're going to become a bigger part of the trading world in financial markets. So Ben, we are proud to have you as a partner to get this partnership going. And tell us a little bit more about the app and how users get value from the app.
Sure, great. Yeah, my ultimate vision is to get all this data, collaborate on the data, and then visualize that data on a chart. So you can see the catalysts and the events that are causing a price to go up or down. Now, we've already proved this out in our WhatsApp collaboration rooms, which we currently have, and our Zoom, and the two presentations I gave you. And in fact, we just had a presentation on a new stock Sunday night. Maybe I'll briefly talk about it at the end. Where it's just uncanny. Like if you have the information, you can explain almost every tick in a chart. It's really amazing. There's a lot of people out there that say the market's unexplainable, it's chaotic, and I beg to completely disagree with that. You know, if you collect enough information from enough market participants, you can really explain almost every tick. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, intraday, right? The ups and downs, but when you're looking at a longer term chart, any kind of, you know, real movements over a period of a couple days, that stuff is explainable. And we showed you those great annotated charts on both SMSI and Aehr. And, you know, we'll touch base on that a little bit soon, what's happened since we presented. And this new pick we had Sunday night, we have a YouTube video on it. And the annotation we did on that chart is second. I mean, it's amazing.
All right, so Ben, I'm going to ask you this. You have the two symbols that you've pitched previously on the show. You have updates for those already. It sounds like you have a new one as well. I mean, let's hit them. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Aehr. I was not planning on sharing my screen, but maybe I will here.
There we go, yeah.
Chart here. Okay. So here we go. We got the...
And again, guys, this is ticker AEHR, right. Alpha Echo Hotel Romeo. Somebody drop that in the chat. Help your fellow chatters out. And of course, hit that like button. Share the stream. Let's get the idea flow going.
All right, great. So you can see my chart, right? Aehr?
No, we can't see it.
I'm sorry. Little technical bug over here. I guess it's this screen. What do you see now?
There we go. Now we got it. We see a
There.
chart. It looks
Okay.
like a Thinkorswim chart, maybe.
Yeah, it's E-Trade. So
E-Trade.
you see, it had that big surge after I came on Benzinga. It's held its gains. First of all, that initial surge back here on the 16th was just because that $10 million order, right? And then I went on Benzinga, and people were able to validate what happened there. And within a couple hours, it just boomed. It went to like $9 in after hours. It's generally held its gains. We actually spoke. We had a private event for Story Trading members. We spoke to the CEO of Aehr last night, and it was awesome. Very bullish. I mean, this is really an EV story. That's all he kept talking about was the EV is beyond expectations. It keeps on growing beyond expectations, and they're expecting more orders in EV this year. So I've not sold a single share of this since I went on the air with you, and I'm keeping that. This is a longer term hold for me at this point.
Okay, and the catalyst that we're looking out for on this stock, and I'm trying to remember this properly, is we want to see more order flow. This is the company coming out and announcing they want a $5 million, $10 million, $20 million contract, correct?
That's right, and I think it's pretty much. I think it's pretty much a guarantee you're going to see, and nothing's a guarantee, obviously, but based on the research we've done, I think these EV orders will keep on flowing this year.
Okay, and this company does parts testing. Is that accurate?
Silicon carbide chips. So these silicon carbide chips or semiconductors are used in electric vehicles. And if there's even one of these semiconductors that fails, your electric vehicle will just stop in the middle of the road. So they cannot have failure. So what they do is they burn in these semiconductors off the production line, just kind of like when you're breaking in a baseball glove to make sure it works well. So same kind of idea. They're burning them in to exclude the ones that are going to fail, right? Because it's not a perfect production process. So that's what they do. They do it better than anyone else. It's much more efficient than any other competitors, any kind of processes out there. It's installed on the factory floor. And this ensures that your electric vehicles are just not going to stop suddenly. It's a must-have.
Awesome. And Ben, you've certainly been right about this one for a while now. And you said you are long and strong. You have not sold a single share, correct?
Since 270. Yeah, we had multiple YouTube videos out this, and we got in just before the big pop because people are just not paying attention to the story and the press releases that were coming out. So we had multiple videos just before it started booming from 270. I've been in since then, and I'm holding for a while probably.
Okay. And then what about the other one? Ticker SMSI. That's Sandy, Mike, Sandy, India. Somebody dropped that one in the chat to help your fellow chatters
Okay.
out.
So SMSI, first thing I want to point out, listen, guys, when we put a stock out there, just don't jump and buy it suddenly. Because Aehr went up within a few hours, right? People went and validated that information. Here, because they had Aehr and it's going to happen again. Like the second I mentioned SMSI, the thing rocketed to 640 and some people got hurt. Now, the story over here is we had that video clip from a senior executive at SMSI that said there's going to be a big product launch by the end of July. Now, what happened is that product launch didn't happen yet, right? So much of this disappointment is because there's speculation that maybe it will never happen. This is regarding the T-Mobile relationship. Now, they had earnings back here on, you can see it here when it gapped up, right? So at this earnings call, on the conference call, they said basically there's some further delays with T-Mobile because of internal reorganizations that are happening there. So that may possibly delay some of these product launches, but they're still confident it's going to happen. At the same time, they mentioned a new relationship with AT&T. AT&T was a customer they inherited from acquisition of Location Labs from Avast. And at the time of the acquisition, AT&T said, we are not going to continue this product. We're going to sunset it and goodbye Smith. What happened, they announced on the conference call that AT&T informed them they want to stay with Smith Micro and keep using their product. So that's why you had this big gap up. The next day on earnings is because, hey, AT&T just radically increases the total addressable market in their pipeline. Yet at the same time, see this big sell-off? Through different communities I'm in, we're able to identify actual people that were doing this. These are retail sellers, not institutions. Retail sellers who felt that this T-Mobile delay and the reorganization brings some additional risk that they didn't appreciate before. and maybe T-Mobile will never close, things like that. So that's why it's been selling off. And obviously there's a market here. There's buyers and sellers, people who believe that risk is unfounded. We're actually speaking to the CFO and some other executive management of SMSI today at 4:30 to get clarification on what the status of T-Mobile is.
Okay, so SMSI, it sounds like there's a decent shot you're going to get some pretty big information, either positive or negative, on the clarity of that relationship. Because obviously, if that relationship isn't in place, hurts the company, hurts revenue. If it is in place, massive amount of upside revenue potential. Is that an accurate summary?
Yeah, although, we learned that they can not really, they're going to give color, but they can't say definitively either way, right? It's ultimately up to the carriers, the timing of launches.
Yeah.
So I'm really going to drill them on, hey, what happened?
Say it's up to the question asker how much color you can get.
Yeah, I'll do my best to pin them down. But, when they go out there and say, hey, this is launching end of July, like what happened? Is that still in play? Is that potentially happening any day? Or has been a lot of doubt added to that, and that might not happen. So that's really what we're going to corner them on tonight, hopefully.
Excellent. All right. So those are updates in the two, and the SMSI. Are you long and strong that one still as well?
I am. I have not made any changes to my allocation. Listen, these two stocks are stocks that I've held for about 3 years. I use all of this information to increase or decrease my positions. When I know companies so well, I rarely go all out. I just, like to keep tabs on things. And when we have this information from the community, I may increase my position for the short term to take advantage of upcoming catalysts, things like that. That's how I play it. But I'm doing this on strong companies that are fundamentally strong, right? So if I get the trade wrong on an overweight position, I'm still good for the long term.
Okay. Excellent. All right, Ben, we appreciate the updates on those ones. You teased us that you had a new stock.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to do a full presentation. I will just show you a quick chart about it. There is
awesome.
We
have like 5 minutes, and you give very thorough pitches. We don't have time for the full one.
I'm not going to give
at least the teaser of it.
Just because I wasn't prepared. But yeah, there's a YouTube video on it. Before I pull up the chart, I'm not even going to say the ticker yet because I don't want people jumping and buying this suddenly. There's earnings tomorrow, and earnings is always a risk event, right? So this stock is basically it's a riot play. It's a very hot sentiment-wise, right? Because it's related to police shootings and police training or virtual reality training for police. So let me just share my screen here. And again, this is the bread and butter of what I love is explaining market price action. So the ticker symbol is VTSI. Please don't jump and buy this, guys. Do your research, okay? As I said, earnings tomorrow, some added risk. So,
and I mean, how do you think about earnings? You're a long-term investor.
Yeah.
You have long-term theses on these stocks. My guess would be that you're going to say earnings is part of the story, and so I hold it all the way through. Is that accurate?
Unless the story changes, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, because a lot of times, especially with smaller companies, there's going to be delays, right? It's hard to predict exactly what quarter things will inflect and things like that will happen. Yep. So, I unless we hear something that's game-changing bad, which I obviously don't anticipate based on what we know, I'm probably going to hold it right through earnings. So, but here's the cool part. Look at a long-term chart. This is VTSI. And what happened here, right? Why did this turn around in May of 2020? And we have all the answers. I mean, it's amazing what we're able to do with crowdsourced collaboration. Every tick on this chart, every significant tick. So this was originally introduced as a trade of the week right before this big pop. There were some riots that were happening. And I had this stock on my radar for years as a kind of like a riot play pick. And there were some national riots, and this is one of the best fundamental companies out there, very low flow. And I said, hey, let's put this out as a trade of the week. I think someone else in the community joined me on that week and said, this is a good trade of the week. It took a couple days, but it rocketed, right? That's when it all started. Now, what happened? It held its gains over the next several months, right? That doesn't happen often, right? Why did it hold its gains? And it's because our community discovered that there's great fundamentals behind this company. I don't want to get into all the details now. I have a full presentation. Perhaps later we can share with you. And then we invited the CEO to speak to StoryTrading right there. on that date sometime. What is that, like January, end of January 2021? He spoke to Story Trading, and then the stock went on another tear, right? So you can decide why, but I think there's a correlation there. Then they had earnings, and this was crazy. They blew out earnings. It was like 20-cent EPS.
And is that 100% move day? I mean, that's a
It was.
crazy stock price movement.
It was 100% move day, and it didn't hold because that night, for the first time in like forever, they decided to take advantage of that and do an equity offering at $6 with no warrants, right? So it opened around $6.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Hate it when that happens.
They raised a lot of money. Well, I mean, they're a strong fundamental company, and they're going to do some great things with that cash, right? It's surprising the stock went below 6 over here, below the offering price, but it did, and I loaded up below 6 along with a lot of other people. There you go, 18 million offering at 6, no warrants. And then we invited the CEO back to comment, and lo and behold, is that a coincidence? It started going up again after he commented on what they're doing with that money. Then he had this little spike here, which was because it was discovered that they're bidding on a $24.5 million Department of Defense contract for military training. We talked about police training. Now we're talking about military virtual reality training with these goggles. Then they were at an LD Micro presentation that sparked another bottom, obviously, right? A couple days later, we had Kevin Crawford from our community do a great presentation. It's up on YouTube. Great due diligence on the likelihood of them winning this military contract, and the stock.
And the timing for actually figuring out if there's a military contract award, I imagine, is way far out. Is that accurate?
We're not sure. It could possibly be this. That's where the doubt comes in, right? We don't know exactly when they're going to announce that they won this or that we're going to see it in the bottom line. But there's a lot of clues in terms of backlog and some things in the accounting that Kevin had discovered. That he thinks they're gearing up to win this contract.
And Ben, question from the chat: Is this company based out of Arizona?
Actually, great question. I should know, but I don't know off the top of my head where they're based.
All right, sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Nope, no, that's it. That was the chart. I have a whole bunch of other slides, but I wasn't prepared to show them. Yeah, you can check out the YouTube presentation on that to see the full slide deck.
Well, I appreciate that we can catch you off guard. You're not prepared to pitch it, and you'll still come through and give us the rundown and then sort of tease us on the thesis.
Cool, happy to do that. And be careful out there, guys. Right? This is you don't want to jump and buy something before doing your research.
Exactly.
I want to remind everyone with our app coming up with that Benzinga data stream that's going to be in there, you can go to StoryTrading.com and sign up for a wait list. We have our private beta coming out soon. It's going to be by invitation code only. So if you want to be first to try out the app, make sure to go to StoryTrading.com right now and put your email address in there.
Boom. All right. Give us that site one more time. Oh, we have it in the chat. There it is. It's up on the screen. Even better. Let's go, producer. All right.
Oh, by the way, I want to say I like your presentation on Coinbase. I think that's some good numbers, good presentation, good pitch. I might look into that myself.
Awesome. Yeah, again, this is not a swing trade. I didn't talk about the fact that I own it into earnings because it wasn't an earnings trade, and I don't want people to rush into it because of that. But yeah, it's a long-term holding. I think when we can forecast a revenue decline of 33%, and the stock is still only at 9 times price to sales, and it's a company like Coinbase, 100+% year-over-year growth. Yeah, I think you got to do it. It's a futuristic company. It's certainly the leader in the space. I have other ones that I like better, like a Voyager Digital. But I think it makes for an absolutely interesting play. Yeah,
I think the opposite side of the trade, the people who are shorting it or not buying it, it's a crypto play. You gotta have strong thesis. It's going to keep going, right?
For sure, yeah. Right? And you got to be okay saying, am I going to hold this stock for the next year if Bitcoin settles at 20K and stays there?
Yeah,
that's the question to ask yourself.
And it's an interesting play to have, as part of a diversified portfolio. Makes sense.
Yep. Awesome, Ben. Well, we appreciate the partnership again. For anybody just joining us, Story Trading, Benzinga, joining forces to build a badass product. You have the link on the screen. Go check it out. Get that registration in there. And again, guys, Ben just pitched us through 3 tickers. He's holding them long and strong. I'll recap them really quick. ticker AEHR. That's Alpha Echo Hotel Romeo, ticker SMSI. Sandy Mike Sandy India, and ticker, is it VSTI or VTSI?
VTSI.
VTSI. I wrote it down wrong. So that's Victor Tango Sandy India. Somebody drop all three of those symbols in the chat. Help your fellow chatters out. Tell us what you're trading, what you're long today. I saw some people posting about HIMS as an interesting one, getting smoked today. Earnings after the close. Playboy down today after earnings. Other stocks you guys are looking at, let's check it out.
Sounds good.
Well,
Thanks,
awesome,
Luke.
Ben. Appreciate you joining us as always.